Alright, welcome back to my podcast. It's the JP Show. I'm JP. Currently heading back from a trip to Muncie. Just took a college visit to Ball State, and I'm currently, in the process of driving back. It's a pretty good school outside of the university. The roads are a little tough, a little bumpy. Potholes have me, bouncing every way, but it's just part of it. Current plan is to definitely go there in the fall, but we'll see how that ends up turning out. First thing I definitely want to dive into is the All-Star game, the NBA All-Star game. Obviously with it being an All-Star game, there wasn't much defense played from, the tip, but once it got down to that, I like to call it an elam ending because they got it from the tournament, the basketball tournament. They have a target score, so whenever the target score was then implemented, I feel like they did then start to play defense and try and buckle down. And overall, I thought it was a pretty good game, fun to watch, definitely better than the Pro Bowl. Can't watch the Pro Bowl anymore, with the NFL. It's just too difficult to watch. It's not even a football game. It's just them out there playing two-hand touch, really. They're not even giving effort. But I also want to talk about how ridiculous Stephen Curry was during the All-Star game. I think he ended up with no one had ever hit 10 threes in the game before, and he comes out, and I think he shot 16 for 27. I'm not completely sure if that number is correct, but it was ridiculous. He ended up with 50 on the night and won the All-Star Game MVP, named after Kobe Bryant. On the other team, Embiid played well. Joel Embiid, trust the process. He played well, probably about as good as you could ask for from that team. I'm not really sure what Kevin Durant was thinking whenever he picked that team, but it actually ended up being closer than I thought it would be. I thought Team LeBron was going to run away with the victory, but it ended up coming down to the end, and then LeBron hit that turnaround fade to seal the game and win it all. It was a better ending this year than the previous All-Star game, as the game didn't end in a free throw. I know it's supposed to end on a made basket, but I don't think a free throw, is a good way to end it off on. But going back to the NBA this season, I think the MVP race is it's a three-man race in my opinion, with a couple of sleepers that I don't really think I think should have more respect when it comes to the MVP talk. But right now, I genuinely think it's a three-man race between Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. If you just look at the stats, plus minus, player efficiency rating, you just look at all the in-depth statistics and everything. Jokic obviously stands out. The guy's averaging near a triple-double. He's first in efficiency. He's just that team, the Nuggets team without Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. He's done a phenomenal job keeping them towards the middle of the Western Conference, which is genuinely it's a tough conference to stay, especially in the middle, top half. The other one, Joel Embiid, he's obviously he's doing what he can with a bunch of role players, but obviously how is this James Harden trade going to affect his role on the ladder? If they start winning more games, then I think Embiid's going to fall on the list because now he has an extra superstar next to him, whereas on the Nuggets, Jokic is missing both of his superstars. Embiid's having a phenomenal year. He's pretty sure he's top 5 in efficiency rating, top 5 in rebounds, and I think he's top 5 in points. That's at the time of my research. That's what I was saying. Giannis Antetokounmpo, obviously, in my opinion, he's the best player in the league. Nobody really comes close to that guy. He does everything you need him to. He's unstoppable. His jump shot's getting better. His free throws are getting better. It's just, I don't know if there's a way to stop him. Coming off of a championship and winning Finals MVP against a good Phoenix team too. That Phoenix team is no joke. They're at the top of the West this year. Chris Paul was just announced that he'll be out for, I think it's 6 to 8 weeks with a thumb injury. Devin Booker is one of the best scorers in the NBA, as we should know. Any team Chris Paul goes to, he makes them better immediately. You can see that with the Thunder. I think the Rockets would have won the championship a couple years back if Chris Paul didn't go down in the conference finals. They had a lead against the Warriors, and I think they could have won it. They had that team with Capella, Chris Paul, James Harden, pretty sure PJ Tucker was on that squad too. They had a good big three right there, and then they definitely had the role players to surround them. But yeah, nowadays, you have I genuinely think it is a three-man race between them. And I don't want to say Jokic will win back-to-back. I think Embiid's at the top of my ladder right now, but it's really just, are the voters going to, the people voting for it, legitimately, not me, are they going to see it the same way I do? Right now, the way I look at it, Jokic has to be at the top of their list, but at the same time, voter fatigue happened with Giannis. I think Giannis easily could have won it last year as well, but he didn't because he'd won it the past 2 years before that. But when it comes down to, Embiid's at the top of my ladder, I think it goes Embiid, Giannis, Jokic. I'm not sure everyone's going to look at it the same way as me, though. A couple sleepers, in my opinion, before he got injured. I think Draymond Green should have been top 5. That dude, he's valuable. If we're going based off the title, we're going valuable player, most valuable. Without Draymond in that offense, it still runs well. It's a well-oiled machine, but I don't think it runs as good because Draymond can do anything that you need him to. That guy plays winning basketball, and at the end of the day, that's what makes a player valuable. I think he has a huge impact on his team, but at the end of the day, it's I don't think he'd ever be able to win because he's got Curry and Klay on that team, and people are going to argue that Curry's more valuable than him, than Draymond. But, both of those guys are definitely in the conversation. I want to say LeBron because he's playing some of his greatest basketball, and he's mid-30s, but his team's just not winning. The Lakers aren't winning. Russell Westbrook, even though the stats might show that he's doing pretty decent, if you watch a Lakers game, he looks horrendous out there, and you can tell LeBron is just frustrated. Team's not playing good basketball. LeBron is. I don't think he's a candidate for most valuable player at the moment. Kevin Durant had to be at the top of the list. I think he still has to be at the top of the list too. I think he's my number 4 right now. Just because you see the Nets without KD, and I think they lost 10 in a row. They finally got a win, got back on the right track, but they fell from the 2nd seed to the play-in, and, that's just having Kevin Durant out. They had Harden and Kyrie, before they traded Harden to the 76ers, but it's crazy to see how valuable Kevin Durant is to that team, and I think he, almost averaging 30 a game in his second year back from an Achilles injury. It's just, we don't really see that. Like I said, Chris Paul. Luka Doncic is playing really well. When doesn't Luka play well? He's had an insane streak recently. Yeah, it's been crazy. I think he had 51 and 49 and a couple other high-scoring games after they traded Kristaps to the Wizards for Dinwiddie. We have yet to see Dinwiddie play. I'm not sure if we or when we will. But Luka's been phenomenal, So he's probably one of my favorite players to watch. There's just not a lot of players that can do what he does. And it's not like he has off-the-charts athleticism. He's really not that athletic. Like, he's more athletic than I think I give him credit for. But at the end of the day, the dude just has pure skill. Like, he's not John Moran athletic, but he does everything so well. I think switching over to Defensive Player of the Year, there are a couple good options there. First, of course, probably has to be Giannis. Dude plays some of the best defense, can do anything. He's versatile, he can rebound, he can block, he can steal, he can do anything. Another one that I like to see that would probably be second on my list is Matisse Thybulle for the 76ers. I think he would be higher on the official NBA ladder if he played more for the 76ers, but at the moment I think he's averaging right around 20 minutes per game, and it's not good enough for them. But he has an unorthodox style of playing defense, but man, is it effective. It's ridiculous. Any loose ball he goes for, he can get his hands on anything. It's phenomenal to really see. Another guy, it would probably be Mikal Bridges. Bridges is one of the best perimeter defenders, I've seen in a while. Coming out of Villanova, he was a 3-and-D player, which is why the Suns, obviously wanted him. They traded, I think, the Sixers for him on draft night. But he's done exactly what he's needed to do. 3-and-D, he shoots the ball well, and he defends. He's one of the better perimeter defenders. And he's even pretty good inside. His arms are extremely long. He's fluid. He's an athlete. Another one that I'd like to see, of course, Draymond Green. Again, I know I just mentioned him in the MVP conversation. But with Draymond, that dude, like I said, winning plays. He plays terrific defense. He does a lot of the, dirty work that a lot of people just aren't willing to do in some aspects. Another one, obviously, you can throw Rudy Gobert in there. That guy's multi-time Defensive Player of the Year. Nobody can protect the rim quite like him. He leading the league in rebounds, close to 15 a game. It's impressive. That's truly impressive. I don't think I've seen, statistically, I haven't seen rebound numbers that high since Andre Drummond was playing in his prime for the Pistons. It's crazy the amount of defense. I think defense is becoming an even bigger role in today's game than it was a couple years ago. I think teams are starting to value defenders as equally as shooters, but obviously you have to be able to shoot the ball, which is why I think 3-and-D players are probably the most beneficial pieces to a team. They're a role player. They play phenomenal defense. They can shoot the ball well consistently, and that's what winning teams need. So I think you could say 3-and-D players are the most valuable to a winning team, outside of a superstar. Switching over to Rookie of the Year, this one's tough because I like Cade Cunningham. I do. I think he's playing great basketball as of late. Jalen Green quite isn't what I expected. I thought he was going to be close to 20 points per game and shooting pretty efficiently, but he's down around 14 points a game, and his efficiency just isn't where I would like to see it. But it's a jump to the NBA. I know he did play in the G League last year, but I'm hoping Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. can take that next step together next year to give Houston fans some exciting basketball, along with like Christian Wood, Şengün, Jae'Sean Tate. They just signed Daishen Nix to a multi-year deal, and I love Daishen Nix's game coming up from. He played on Ignite with Jalen Green, and I think he's one of the more. He's a big body for a point guard, but he moves extremely well. He sees the floor extremely well, and he's a great defender. So I think that's a solid pickup by the Rockets. Moving on from Green, I think Scotty Barnes has to be talked about. I don't think anybody well, I don't want to say it. Not anybody did, because I know a couple people did. I talked to him about it. I think Barnes originally was a surprise pick over Jalen Suggs, but I didn't think Suggs was going to be that great of an NBA player, like coming out of Gonzaga. I think he can be a good role player. He might even be a serviceable starter, but I don't know if he's going to be anything over the top. With Scotty Barnes, I see multi-positional defender. I see all-star potential, like all defensive first team. He's so young, and he's lengthy, he's big, he's quick, and he's smart. And all of those showed out at Florida State. And that's why I really did not have a problem with the Raptors drafting him. I thought he was a better fit than Suggs. Like I said, Jalen Suggs, he's been hurt, and even whenever he hasn't been hurt, he hasn't been, off the charts good. He's been serviceable. I think he'll get better as, time goes along, but I'm hoping he can prove me wrong. Another one that I like is Josh Giddey. I've been a fan of Giddey for a long time, ever since I first heard about him. Actually, I think it was about a year before the draft. Whenever he first started playing in Australia, his rookie year. Giddey he's got an unorthodox shot. His dribbling style is, I've heard some people call it funky. He has tremendous court vision. He's big for a guard. He can run an offense, and he can make shots. Recently, Giddey's been playing better than any rookie, in my opinion. He's either first or second, and I'm going to get to the guy that might be playing better than him, in my opinion. I think Giddey's either first or second, like as of recent. That guy's been, getting triple-doubles, playing winning basketball, even if the Thunder aren't that good of a team, but Giddey's, trying to do what he needs to do so they can win. Like I said, his vision is awesome. It's top tier. I think him and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander playing together, that's going to be a fun backcourt to watch for the Thunder, for Thunder fans for, I want to say, the next 10, 15 years, I know a lot of NBA careers, don't pan out that long, but I'm hoping, Shai's and Giddey's do. And then my front runner for Rookie of the Year, which is the only other person I would say could possibly be playing better than Giddey right now, is Evan Mobley. Mobley is just playing phenomenally. He's able to stretch the floor a little bit. He's scoring inside. He's grabbing rebounds. He's blocking shots. And most of all, he's playing winning basketball. The Cavs went from the third pick in the draft to top five team in the East. I know they've even gotten as high as number 2 in the East, and that's ridiculous. Darius Garland, you got Isaac Okoro, you got Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley, it's Lauri Markkanen. It's just crazy, because on paper, you would think Cavs might not gel too well together, but they are playing some great basketball. Kevin Love is looking great. I'm glad he didn't leave Cleveland. Garland's an all-star. Allen's an all-star. Mobley's my pick for Rookie of the Year. Okoro's a good defender. There's a reason he was a top 5 pick. They got Rajon Rondo in there, traded for him from the Lakers. That was a good pickup for Cleveland. They traded for Karis LeVert. They didn't even really have to give up anything too valuable. They gave up Ricky Rubio, who was already out for the year injured, and they gave up a pick, but it was protected. So it's going to end up being like a late first rounder for Indiana. But the Cavs are a good team, and I know they're young. I think their ceiling would probably be the second round if they can get out of the first round, which is going to be tough for them because I'm telling you, 1 through 8 in the Eastern Conference, it's tough right now. They're all solid teams. I don't really know if I could put one over the other, I mean, I want to put Milwaukee over the rest of them, but I can't put anything past the Celtics either, you know, with Tatum and Brown, you know, starting to play their best basketball of the season, and that team's finally starting to gel together. They just made a trade to get Derek White, which is a really good pickup for them. I think the Celtics, the Bucks, the Sixers, if Harden meshes well with Embiid, are going to be a team to watch out for. The Nets, obviously, I think Ben Simmons makes them better than they were with Harden. If Kyrie ends up playing more games, Ben Simmons is a great defender, can guard 1 through 5. You know, KD and Kyrie can do all the scoring. Drummond and Seth Curry were phenomenal pickups in that trade. Seth Curry's a great role player, and I think Drummond's that center they were missing. I think Drummond's a little bit overhated in my opinion. Nick Claxton isn't bad. You know, I think they might go both ways, you know, trying to see which is better by starting both of them. It's the Raptors aren't bad. I don't think the Raptors can make it out of the first round, though. I don't think they have the depth. I mean, I think they have the depth. They just don't have the upfront talent. Even though they just got Thaddeus Young, which was a great pickup. You know, he's a good pickup for a lot of contending teams. He would have been. But, you know, the Raptors got him for next to nothing, I feel like. Like I said, it made their depth better, but I don't know if they really have that much star power up front. I know they have Siakam and Van Fleet. Van Fleet's first-time All-Star this year. I think Siakam could have been an All-Star over Jarrett Allen. It really just depends how you look at it. The Raptors are a good team, but I don't think they can keep up with Milwaukee, Miami, Philly, Brooklyn, and, you know, Miami's a good team, too. They got Jimmy, Lowry. I think Lowry's a great addition to that team. He has been whenever he's healthy. Adebayo. Adebayo's got to be somebody you also put in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. That dude is phenomenal. Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero. It's Max Struss, Gabe Vincent. Just a lot of solid pieces, you know, that makes that team come together. Right now, my pick to make it out of the East would have to be Milwaukee again. I think a lot of teams are just going to have trouble stopping Giannis, Middleton, Drew Holiday, and Brook Lopez, you know. They traded DiVincenzo, and they got Serge Ibaka. I think Ibaka's another really good role player for them. DiVincenzo wasn't playing too well. They traded him to Sacramento. Sacramento, I think, is trying to make a push towards the play-in. I'm not really sure if they have much potential past the play-in. They have Fox, and they just traded for Sabonis. And, you know, they got DiVincenzo, but I'm not sure what Sacramento is thinking trading Tyrese Halliburton, you know. What a trade for Indiana, though, you know, since they got rid of Buddy Hield, too, the Kings did. He was a valuable shooter for them. I think the Pacers are going in the right direction with the rebuilds finally. Pritchard made a good decision by trading them. I'm not sure if he had Herb Simon's approval stamp, but I don't really think it mattered. You know, he did what needed to be done. And he got a great return. You know, Halliburton healed, and they ended up releasing Tristan Thompson, but it wasn't bad. I think the Pacers are going to be a fun team to watch. You know, Halliburton's been playing some great basketball. I think he's averaging 20 points and 11 assists through his first 4 games with Indiana. You know, it's just the Pacers have a lot to be excited about. You know, they still got Miles Turner, you got Goga Bitadze, you got Isaiah Jackson, you have O'Shea Brissett, you know, Kiefer Sykes, Dwayne Washington Jr., you know, obviously you have Terry Taylor, and then you got Halliburton and Buddy Hield. I know I'm probably missing a couple, but the Pacers are going to be fun to watch. I do like that Miles is going to be able to play the traditional 5 now. He's not going to, I don't know, but at the end of the day, I wish the Pacers would have tried to get some for him too, but I think that his value decreased after that injury occurred. and I think they're going to wait until the off season to show everyone that he's healthy, or the beginning of next season, and try and flip him then. I think the Pacers need to move Malcolm Brogdon. Pacers really aren't even a playoff team anymore, and I think that's why they signed Brogdon to that extension, because they thought they were going to be a playoff team. But boiling down to it, Brogdon just doesn't fit that Indiana system anymore. They're moving younger. Brogdon's contract could end up being a problem. He's making a decent amount of money. It's going to be hard to flip him to a contender, especially whenever all contenders are, almost to the cap limit, if not over. I don't really have any cap room, so I'm excited to see what Indiana does with Brogdon, but I think they just need to try and move on from him and potentially Turner. I know Turner's still young, but I think they need to allow more playing time for Isaiah Jackson and Goga Bitadze. And then we also traded for Jalen Smith. So, I think, you have 3 young centers, and at the end of the day, Miles Turner's top 2, if not number 1, in best shot blocker in the NBA. It's him and Rudy Gobert. But it's just, I don't know if he really fits that mold anymore. He can really help a contending team at the moment, because he's already developed. He already brings a winning play style to the team. But I don't know. I think they need to move on from both players this off season, and they need to, continue that full rebuild. Out of the West, that's tough. Lakers obviously aren't looking good. They need to get rid of Westbrook. Anthony Davis can't stay healthy. LeBron, I feel like, is the only one doing anything. Malik Monk was a phenomenal pickup on the veterans minimum. Unfortunately, there's not much he can do. Stanley Johnson, I think, was a good pickup on, I think it was a 2-year deal. He's a great 3-and-D player. Talen Horton-Tucker, they need to get rid of him. They put too much value on him to begin with, and now they couldn't even flip him for, box of rocks. I think the Lakers should have pulled the plug on the Westbrook and a first-round pick for Christian Wood and John Wall. I think that was a no-brainer if the reports were true. I think the Lakers definitely should have done that, but for some reason, Pelinka just decided not to. I think the Clippers are mediocre without Paul George and Kawhi. I think they might even be mediocre without Kawhi and with Paul George. Paul George is good, don't get me wrong. But it's just, I don't think the Clippers are, a threat. I think the Jazz are if they can stay healthy. My pick to come out of the West right now would either have to be Phoenix or Utah. If Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert can get past their problems in the locker room and just play some basketball, they have Mike Conley on there, Royce O'Neal. They got Jordan Clarkson, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. They just traded Joe Ingles, traded Elijah Hughes. I think the Jazz could, make it to the finals. I think Phoenix and Golden State, they're top 2 teams in the West. But, I want to say Utah can make it, but, I kind of spaced Golden State there for a second. I think it's really between those 3, though. Golden State, you got Curry, Clay, Draymond. They got Otto Porter Jr., Nemanja Bjelica. They got, is it Nemanja? I think it's Nemanja. But they got a solid team right there, I think they're only sitting behind Phoenix as of right now. I could be wrong. I'd have to go double check the standings. But the Warriors have been there before. They've won before. It just they're a team to beat. And then, Phoenix, if Chris Paul can come back and not be bothered by that thumb injury, the Suns are the most complete team in the league, in my opinion. They got DeAndre Ayton holding down the middle. They got Cam Johnson as a shooter. Landry Shamet. They got Devin Booker, Chris Paul, Mikal Bridges. It's just they're so complete. They also, just got Torrey Craig. It's just phenomenal, They got a really good, well-rounded squad. I think Phoenix is hard to beat. I really would not be surprised if we saw a Phoenix-Milwaukee, rematch in the finals this year. But, I'm not really sure. It's just the NBA has been fun to watch this year. Don't get me wrong. I think it's going to be a fun playoffs. One of the better NBA seasons I think we've seen in a while. Especially with things getting shaken up. I don't really think one team has separated themselves from others and be like, yeah, we could sweep you, 4-0 in a 7-game series. I don't think that's going to happen. Team I forgot about in the East. Well, I can't believe I forgot about these guys. The Chicago Bulls. How about the Bulls? DeMar DeRozan looking like an MVP candidate. Can't leave him out of that discussion. Levine and DeRozan playing some phenomenal basketball. Lonzo Ball, when healthy, running that offense to perfection. Got Nikola Vucevic, all-star back in Orlando, playing great basketball right now too. Patrick Williams Jr. when he's healthy, great 3-and-D. Got Caruso, which is one of the better free agent signings in my opinion. It's just a lot of good team basketball right there as well. I think the NFL playoffs were probably the best playoffs I've ever seen in my life. I think these NBA playoffs are going to be great. I think the NBA season has been great so far. March Madness is about to be ridiculous. I think on my next episode I'll definitely have to dive into some March Madness discussions because there's a lot to talk about there, especially with National Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, teams to watch out for like March Madness sleepers. All I'm saying is it's just like last year. You never know really who's going to win with that. But I think this is just an overall great year for sports. Astros got taken down in the World Series, which was, nice to watch. But I think at the end of the day, it's just a good year for sports. NBA is going to be great. Those are just my opinions, my predictions, my thoughts. And, whenever the end of the season rolls around, we'll just have to come back and, see if my predictions were, anything close to what happened. But, I think that's going to be it for this episode. I appreciate everyone who's listening in. I know it's just a bunch of basketball talk, but I feel like I'm starting to get more comfortable with the talking. Starting to feel like I'm progressing as a podcaster, doing more planning, more research, so I have more knowledge on my topic. But again, thanks for listening, and I appreciate it all, and thanks for the support. And until next time.